their table, but you're welcome to play with them. One of the things we always tell people is that there's all different learning styles. So if you want to play, we've got Play-Doh there, and also think about some of the ways you could engage your families and parents, and these are all learning materials. So we have them at you. Feel free to play with them.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to start first just by talking a bit about parenting and family literacy centers and who we are and what we are. The parenting and family literacy centers are in the TDS, have been in the TDSB since 1981. These are centers that are school-based, and they're for families with children from birth to age 6. So they're places where moms or dads or grandparents or caregivers can come and stay with their babies and children and play within the school. All right, so it's their first introduction to being in the schools. They were started by Mary Gordon, who recognized that children and families were sometimes having difficulty starting in school. And she noticed a lot of mums and grandmas in the hallways with strollers waiting for their older children, and talked with the principals about getting a classroom in the school where these families could come and play. The staff who are in our parenting centers are parent workers. There's one staff per center, and the parent workers work very closely with the kindergarten teachers and other early years staff in the school. They are TDSB employees, school board employees, and they work with the kindergarten teachers specifically to be able to provide experiences that will help the children to transition successfully into kindergarten. So they're not replicating what the kindergarten teachers are doing, because our children are at a different developmental level, but they're working with the kindergarten teachers to help them to be ready for school. The programs are open to anybody in the community. They're not just for families who attend the school. So anybody within the community, in some of our centers we have families who drive in from other areas if there's not a center close to them, so they're open to anybody who has a child from birth to age 6. As I said, we started in 1981, and we started with a few parenting and family literacy centers in the downtown core, in the Regent Park area of Toronto, a high needs area. And over the years, we've slowly expanded, sort of going from, what was the first number? Were there about?
There was 20.
There were 20, 13 to 20, yeah. And over the last number of years, we've gone up to 34, then 56, and 69. We're now at 75 centers in the Toronto District School Board. But in 2007, the Ontario Ministry of Education recognized our model as one that they wanted to replicate across the province. And so we had a major expansion in 2007. We now have 15 school boards across Ontario with 146 parenting and family literacy centers. As I said, 75 are now in TDSB. And I think the other largest group is the Toronto Catholic School Board, which has 15 or 16 sites. And there's been a lot of work. Ruth Sishi, who is the early years manager for our programs, has worked very closely with the ministry right from day one to make sure that our centers across the province are equal and, following the same philosophy and same practices. So the funding is now supplied by the Ministry of Education, and that funding covers operational and staffing costs. So there are 2 early years managers, there are 2 program officers, I'm one of them, and program officer is basically somebody who goes out and supervises the center, making sure staff have what they need, giving them support, mentoring, and so on. And then each center has 1 parent worker. So basically, the parent workers are the only staff in the classroom. They are a board staff in the school. But because the parents and grandparents and caregivers are there with the children, people will often ask, how can you possibly run this program being the only person here?
We may have up to 70 families. We have usually about between 20 and 70 families coming to a parenting center on any given day. The 70 are the big ones. So you can imagine that with 1 staff it seems overwhelming, But the reason that we're able to do it is because we really have the parents there with us being part and owning the program.
I have to remember to turn the slides as I talk.
Okay.
So we've done this.
And this is in your package.
Yes,
by
it
the
is.
way, yeah.
So why do we have parenting and family literacy centers in the schools? You can, read what's up here on the screen. But basically, our goal is to improve student success and to reduce the achievement gap, to try and have the children being able to enter school at an equal level as all of their peers. And this is a byproduct of the success we have with the parents. So the biggest piece of our parenting and family literacy centers is not the work we do with the children. It's the work we do with the parents. We have to engage the parents, build relationships with the parents. They have to want to come into the parenting center before we're going to be successful with them working with their children to help them to get ready for school. Our program is one of the only programs, if not the only, that has early years programs that has research attached to it. Marie Yao is our research person with the TDSB, and she did her initial research in 2005 and connected her research to the EDI, which is the Early Development Instrument, which is something that the teachers do with senior kindergarten children to see how they're managing in each of 5 domains, which are physical health and well-being, social competence, emotional maturity, language and cognitive development, and communication skills and general knowledge. This is a pared down graph that just shows you the literacy readiness, but if you look at the black columns, PFLC, these are students who have been to parenting and family literacy centers on a regular basis before they started into kindergarten. So you can see quite a dramatic difference in their readiness compared to children who hadn't been going to the parenting centers.
One of the readiness skills that you see is that in the first 2 weeks of school, the children are very familiar. They know where the bathrooms are. They've been to the gym. They've been to the office. They know the whole school. They really have met their teacher for quite a while beforehand, and they're already part of the school, and so are the parents. So we have much less crying. You always have 1 or 2, that will cry. But for the most part, by the second week, really the teachers are settled in with their children, and their children are starting to get used to their new teacher, and starting to learn with their new teacher.
Yeah. One of the interesting pieces of a lot of the tears that happen in the first week of school are when children are taken out of the classroom by the teacher and taken to the gym or to the library. And they know that their mommy left them in that classroom, and how on earth is she going to find them now that they've been taken down to the gym or to the library? But the children who've been in the parenting centers and have been part of the school know all about walking in the halls. They know that mommy knows where the gym is and the library is, and that if there's a fire drill, I'm going to be outside and she'll find me there. They have all of that information, which helps them to feel safe. And it also helps mommies and daddies to feel safe when they drop them off at the door, because they trust that they're safe in leaving them in the school.
Yes, we have the first 2 weeks of mummies waiting in the parenting
Yes.
center and being able to calm them down, and they're checking the clock every 5 minutes.
Just in case they need them.
Yes.
All right. Did you want to talk about
Yeah.
Dr. Mustard? I'm going to turn the page.
All right, thank you. As you may know, Dr. Fraser Mustard was one of the co-authors of the Ontario Early Years Study, and highlighting how children's interaction with their parents and caregivers in their family and community resulted in neuronal, I've never said that before, connections that determine how the brain will be built over time. I think that pretty much we all know now that there's been so much research done on infant development, and previously it was really good observers, somebody who could watch a lot. And then as our testing got better, we've been able to actually test how babies' brains are developing. One of the first ways they do it, I found this very interesting, is they had a soother, with an electrode, and they would show the babies pictures, and they would suck more rapidly and vigorously when they saw something they liked. But now if you've seen, you can put like 1,000 little electrodes on the baby's skull and absolutely observe everything that's happening. it's important as educators that we know about babies' neural development, but it's our job as parenting workers and anybody who works with parents to give that information, even in a truncated or a simple English way, to our parents, because it's really important that they know that their little babies' brains are growing all the time. And we tell the parents that the babies are picking up through every single sense. So when you hold your baby, the baby is smelling you and seeing you and hearing you and feeling you. And every single one of those sensory feelings is a synaptic connection. And so that's one of the things that we share with our parents so they know how important their part with the baby is. And you know, I don't think anybody props babies up with bottles anymore because, you know, that's gone around a long time. But we have tired parents. We have exhausted parents. So reassuring them and giving them the support they need to make sure that their baby has the optimum time when they're little. And there's also been some studies done on babies playing alone or a baby being alone as opposed to playing with their parent and seeing the really enriched brain development that happens when that baby is with the grown-up. The other thing that I keep having to teach my parents is that play is not a bad word. As educators, we know that. And we, you know, the word play actually means practice, right? Like I'm playing house, I'm practicing house. And I have a lot of parents who want my little children to sit down and write and read. And I keep showing them how babies and children learn by playing. There's a lot of repetition, and they keep doing something till they master it. Also, what children learn best when they're having fun and they're in loving relationships. So, is there anything else you want to say that I missed? No, all right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Our main focus today is
Do you want that up there right now?
No, go back. Thank you. All right. Okay, you can read that. One of the things that my mom's or my dad's or my grandma's go, oh, I didn't come to the parenting center till she was 1 year old. Have I missed out? And you know, there's a plasticity to the brain. We keep learning. As you work with adults, so many of you already know that we are still learning. We can still form new synapses. We can still learn them. The more we learn, the better we are at learning. So I recently got an email with the next little game. So I'm going to tell you, I wanted to prove to you that your brains are still plastic and still learning. The next one is, there's going to be a word up there with a color. So what I want you to do is when we get to that screen, tell me or tell yourself, you can say it out loud, what the color is. Right?
It'll be more fun if you say it out loud.
Yeah, say it out loud. All right. Oh, you've done it. Quick. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you've done it. All right. You're wonderful. But if you haven't done that before, if you're saying the wrong one to yourself, if you do that by the second time you do that exercise, you're getting it. And by the third, it's perfect. We're still learning. So that was my quick little thing on learning.
Okay, I just want to try and keep an eye on the time to make sure we get to do everything we want to do. That's pretty good. We're just going on 10. Okay. So if we're looking at parenting and family literacy centers, and again, why we do what we do, the most important piece that we reiterate to parents every time they're in there is that they are their child's first and most important and lifelong teacher. No matter how many wonderful teachers they get in school, and there will be many, the parent will always be the most important teacher. The children are going to be watching them, they're going to be copying them, they're going to be wanting to be like them. And we work with the parents to help them to understand their importance. They need to feel really confident in their role as a parent. They need to feel confident in their role as themselves. They need to believe in themselves. And if we can get closer and closer to that point, then those parents are going to be much more successful in being agents of change for their children. Okay? We know that engaging children or parents in their children's learning is really, really effective, but first we have to engage.